Hey, I got
Thank
it.
you. All right. All right. So you know what? I'm gonna pause, okay? And I know, Luis, you've seen this blanket PowerPoint. Let me just do a couple of housekeeping before we get started since we're recording now. I have six of them since we're recording, but I'll pause and let Luis show and group participation, everybody kind of read through. We'll read and pause and interject, read, pause, interject. Um, that's kind of how we're going to work this one out. But if you'll notice, well, you will notice this is a blanket presentation PowerPoint. It's sanitized that way because we want to narrow in on things that are taking place right now instead of kind of kind of a cascade, kind of thrills and frills and all of other presentations, which they are accommodating. But this one is more focused on the matters at hand. So I hope everybody appreciates that. And yes, we will build off of presentations like this. And for the recording, when people see these kinds of presentations, whether it's simple about black and white, very little graphics, know that there's something important that's needing to be discussed. Okay, and then we'll branch off and expand, and we'll add content that you see here on other presentations. So go ahead, Luis, if you want, and share, or just tell me when to stop share. If you want, we can come right back to this after. If you want to share what you would like to do, no problem. You can add that here. I'm just trying to get Boyd on the line, so
Okay.
I'll go ahead
You
and
want me to go
just let me
ahead?
know. Yes, just let me know. I'll pause. I'll screen off myself and just say next slide, please, next slide. And if you want me to stop screen share, and I will, and you can bring something up that you would like. Okay.
Let me go ahead and screen share and do, you want me to run through my outline, right?
Uh,
Do you want me to read
yes,
this? Oh,
yes, but let me do one other slide beyond this one if I can here. But yeah, just so you know, and everybody, this as you see on the screen here, this is actually my screensaver. Okay, because the PKTF, this is the culmination of all of our work that you see on the screen right here in the very center. Okay, and I share with a few folks that were here early. The reason why this is my screensaver on on this monitor behind this presentation is because PKTF is working with right now the Ohio Assembly Militia Commander. And again, this is the culmination of all the work that at this point the Ohio Assembly has largely done themselves. But your work, your effort with your assembly brings your assembly to a point where the PKTF, the federation aspect of PKTF, the chartered aspect, brings your assembly to the moment where the Ohio Assembly is. Okay. That if you haven't realized that by now, or if you're starting to firmly realize why we have these meetings, you see on the screen my screensaver reflecting the result. So, for instance, the Nevada Assembly or Arizona Assembly, because of the work that Kevin's doing and others, Florida Assembly, at some point there will be a left-right PKTF logo and Assembly Militia pillar logo as well, side by side, and then meetings will be held. I showed a few of the folks here that were here early that there is a Rumble channel that you can access on our link tree and see meetings, interviews, not meetings, interviews, where we go through and ask each assembly militia field commander how they're doing, what, and welcoming them to being seated and moving throughout, and sharing what it's like to being that much closer to joining the Union of States and all of that great stuff. So just go to our Rumble channel, found on our link tree. We have 2 interviews already. They're held every other week for an hour, so you can see all of that. So let me see if I can transition. Okay, so we're gonna the introduction of this blanket presentation, aside from what Luis is going to share, which is awesome as well. But we're going to talk about the militia and the assistance that the liaisons provide directly, apart from these meetings, but as a result of these meetings. Okay, so I'll go ahead and stop screen sharing. There are more slides underneath this, but I'll go ahead and let you take over, Luis.
so Joe, are we
Yeah.
going into my presentation, then we're going to come back to yours?
Yes,
All
yes.
right.
If time permits, yeah, sure.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. So I'm going to screen share here. Start screen share. Oh. All right. Everybody should see my Zoom here. Everybody see this Peacekeeping Task Force Series 2 day 7 training?
Yes, yes.
I'm finna say I don't hear anybody. Don't be shy, okay?
Yes.
Yeah, don't be shy, everybody.
Okay, I'm gonna put this in the chat as soon as I get a chance here. But we'll follow through here right now. So what I'm gonna focus on this meeting and next time I meet, since you see a part 1 right there, is the PKTF Assembly Liaison 5 to 8 hour work week. After this training is over, I want everybody to be crystal clear of what their responsibilities are for the rest of the week. Hopefully this will be helpful. All your training meetings are held at this particular link right here. So whether you need to go over the meetings before you prepare your report, or you're gonna do it fresh off your memory, either way, you can do either way. So after your training session today, for example, after today's training session, the next 24 to 48 hours, you're going to prepare your report to your assembly. Now, some liaisons have asked, well, how do I present my report to the assembly? Well, the answer to that question actually is, it depends on what it is, the information that you need to report, because different parts of your assembly controls or, is responsible for different things that you're going to report to your assembly. For example, I have here, you're going to report to 3 different parts of your assembly based on what I'm gonna break down after this, based on the different types of information that I'm gonna break down after this. We talked about in the last few sessions about PKTF responsibility to the General Assembly and how they're going to be offering training. That report is going to go to the General Assembly because they control that part, that aspect. I don't know if it's required or not, Joe would have to say, but I prefer everything to be in writing. That's my preference. May not have to be in writing, but I would say write up a report to go to your General Assembly about the PKTF responsibilities to that assembly, which we're going to break down in a minute. Then there's a second aspect to what you're going to be reporting. The American Government's Resurgence Project, the International Outreach Project. Who in your assembly handles that aspect? That would go to your outreach committee. Now, your assembly might have an outreach committee that's under the General Assembly, or they may have an outreach committee connected to the militia. I don't know. Not all assemblies are exact, but generally there is an outreach committee under the General Assembly. But when you're going to report to your assembly about the International Outreach Committee, that would fall under the outreach committee's responsibility. So I would say you would need to find out when that committee is meeting and attend the meeting and report to them what the American Government Resurgence Project status is at this point. I would put it in writing. The third committee that you're going to be reporting to, based on the information we're going to break down in a minute, would be the Militia Special Purpose Committee pillar. We're going to be talking about the radios and the emergency response, different aspects. Well, who controls that? That's the militia. So you would find out when your militia meets, attend the meeting, and report to them about what we're about to break down here in a minute. That's 3 separate reports based on the information we're going to go over. That's how you present your information or report to your assembly. It is determined based on whatever information we go over in training that you need to tell the assembly. Whatever part of the assembly that handles that particular information is who you would have to report to. Let's go over what do you report and what do you report to the assembly and what do you report back to the PKTF. Let's go over the first part, PKTF responsibilities to the assembly, to the General Assembly. What have we talked about in the last couple trainings that you need to report back to the General Assembly? Well, we talked about the assembly positions that need to be filled for the internal peacekeeping of the assembly. Every assembly needs to have a marshal at arms. Every assembly needs to have an ombudsman. That's what you're going to tell the General Assembly. Then you're going to tell them for the external peacekeeping, every assembly needs to have a state continental marshal. Every assembly needs to start electing their county sheriffs. That's what you're going to report to them. The second thing you're going to report to the General Assembly is that the PKTF is starting an ombudsman think tank and holding meetings so that we can train the assemblies on the standard of ombudsman services. And we're going to put together training services that we're going to be offering to the assemblies. That's what the think tank is about. If your assembly wants to join the think tank, the ombudsman think tank, they can send their email or contact the email here and ask to be put on the list so they will know when the next ombudsman think tank meeting is going to be held. That's what you're going to report to them. Those two things, the positions that need to be filled, internal and external peacekeeping, and the ombudsman think tank meetings. You report that to them. And then what you're going to report back to us, the PKTF, once you report that to them, you're going to find out if those offices are filled. You're going to find out their names. If they're not filled, find out why. Is there a challenge or whatever the reason is? Just ask, is there a reason why we haven't filled these positions? Maybe you don't have enough people on your assembly. Whatever the reason, you're going to write up a report back to the PKTF with the answer of what offices are filled and what the people names are, and then what offices are not filled and the reasons why they're not filled. So now we just went over one report to the General Assembly and one report to the PKTF within 24 to 48 hours after your training session while it's still fresh in your mind. The next report to your General Assembly Outreach Committee. Now this report is going to cover the American Government's Resurgence Project. I'm going to open up this link. You're going to tell them, here's where you can review the American Government's Resurgence Project status right now. We are in the pre-launch overview phase. They can just tell them that's where it is and they can go look at it. The other thing that the International Outreach Committee is working on is a 24-hour town hall conference call and a 24/7 town hall online forum. You're going to give them this link and tell them they can watch this video to go over the details about the status of the town hall project and learn more about it. That's all you're going to tell them. Now, what you're going to report back to us, now you just reported to them, you gave them the links, you put it on paper, you gave it to the outreach committee for them to take a look at it. Now, you have to find out when that meeting was held so that you can be there. What you're going to report back to us, you're going to tell us, is your assembly going to participate in phase 1, phase 2 of the project? Then you're going to tell us if yes or no. If they're not participating in phase 1 and phase 2, whatever reason, they're sovereign, they can or if they want to. But this is what you're going to report specifically. If they choose not to do phase 1 or phase 2 for whatever reason, at minimum, every assembly needs to send out an international public notice email to every American state national that's recorded on your state to inform them that the prosperity accounts are available. The GFG may not have been available when they corrected their status and recorded it. They may not be attending the General Assembly meetings to know what the American government is up to right now. So we need to inform them that this service is available for them now. if they're not going to participate with phase 1 and phase 2, the assembly themselves won't even know. So you will have to tell them. You will also tell them that an email template will be provided for every assembly. Once we go into launch phase, every assembly will have access to the email that they can send out to their ASNs that's recorded on their state. That's your report to the outreach committee. What are you going to report back to us? Oh, that's your report to us of far as phase 1 and phase 2 of the outreach project. The second thing you're going to report back to us is about the town hall project, which is the other video that I showed up there. You're going to report back to us whether there are going to be anybody on your assembly that wants to participate in the town hall project. Let me see if I can click this. Here are the list of what's the town hall project, what it entails, and the volunteers that we need and what we need them to do. You will give this to your outreach committee. They will look it over. They will make their determinations. And once they decide if they're going to present it to their, they should present it to their General Assembly to ask for volunteers, see if anybody wants to participate. Then you will find out who that is and have them in this sheet here. It tells you who to contact and send they can send their email to me to let me know, yes, I want to volunteer for the town hall project, and I will get back with them. This is the sheet that you will provide to your outreach committee for the town hall project. So going over this aspect here again, just to go over it. To your outreach committee, you're going to report to them that the American Government Resurgence Project is in the pre-launch phase. They can go to that link to view it. You're going to report to them that the new project that the international think tank is working on is the town hall conference call and the town hall online forum. You're going to give them that link. They can go watch that. And then you want to know from them. Of course, this is going to take some time. You're not going to be able to report back in a week because you got to wait for the General Assembly to have a meeting or wait for the outreach committee to have a meeting and for them to go over the information. So once you find out, after they get their opportunity to watch the information, you're going to find out from them if the assembly is going to be participating in phase 1 or 2. And you're going to make sure that they know that if they're not going to be participating, they're going to be provided with an email to send out an international notice email to all the ASNs on their state to inform them that a prosperity account services is available to them if they want it. That's what you're going to report and report back to us the information about that. Now, the last pillar with the information that you've been given the last couple of weeks, the militia special purpose pillar. You're going to view now, Bobby Cirillo did a radio communications training. Joe, I didn't know where that training was. I would have put a link here, but I didn't know where that training was. But if the assemblies want to understand how the radio system works, I imagine they could go to that training. Is that right?
Yes, actually, Bobby will be on momentarily. Kimberly is very well versed on the updates currently. So yeah, it's a work in progress, as you would imagine. And folks, anybody, if you feel a little bit bewildered or feel like you're drinking from the water hose, we know that you will refer back to these replays, and so will others whose assemblies do not yet have a liaison and training. So don't worry, don't fret, don't think you have to jot down a whole bunch of notes. But yep. So yeah, answer to your question there, Luis. Bobby will be on the training. Accumulative training is not yet available, but we're getting there. So
all right. So if you already know about the radios, and if your assembly wants to have more questions, Bobby said you can contact him at his phone number and texting is better than calling. So questions or anything, you can text Bobby there. That's what you will tell your militia. You will also give your militia these articles. Joe has placed these articles on the blog spot to give us more information about how the radios work, how the communication systems work, how the hurricane rescue mission is going, and how the radios are helping with that. Those are the most recent articles that I found on the blog spot that you can give to your militia to have them review those. The other thing you can, piece of information that the militia needs to know is the emergency response contact page. Now, you can show them this video. Now here in the International Outreach Think Tank, there is a section at the end of this that talks about the emergency the emergency update web page that everybody is asked to put on their websites. So your militia can come here and review that. You will give them that link. Here is an example. This particular assembly, the Michigan Assembly, is talked about in that video. They are the example web page of what it is that the PKTF is asking every assembly to add to their websites. This in an emergency tab. And this tab goes to this. You can learn more about all of this and how all this is put together by watching that video that I linked to that was done at the International Outreach Think Tank. They explained all of this and how they put it together. That's what you're going to tell your militia assembly. So 3 things to the militia assembly. How to contact Bobby. That's the text phone number you can text to. 1 thing, that's what you're going to tell them. How to learn more about the radios. Here are the links. You can go learn more about the radios and how we've been using them. 3rd thing, every assembly needs to have an emergency contact tab. Here is the instruction video that you can watch and see how one is put together. And here's an example website that you can see how it actually is used. That's your report to the militia assembly. What you're going to report back to the PKTF, would your assembly like to purchase radios? Let us know if your assembly said, yeah, I'd like to get a radio. How do, what do I do? Or whatever it is that your assembly told you about the radios. Come back and let us know. Then you're going to find out, does your assembly need help with putting an emergency contact page to their website? Michigan did a great job. I'm sure they said they're willing to help, let you know what things they put on their website, because I'm sure they put different plugins or whatever they put on there. You might want to know how they did it. So does your assembly need some help with putting their emergency contact page on there? Let us know. We'll make those connections. That's your report back to us. Is everybody crystal clear on what the next 24 to 48 hours of your time should include? If you're not, ask me the question. Don't be shy. Raise your hand.
And of which we greatly, greatly appreciate. Have no idea.
All right, Kevin.
Okay, so just when will this be reposted so that we can have access to refresh ourselves? Will it be this week?
We should be able to render it this evening.
Oh, good.
It's on. This one's going to be on Luisa's mainframe, so she'll be able to send it over. I think rendering takes 30 minutes, and then.
Okay, awesome. Because it's great information. Just know I'm not going to remember it all.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, Rich.
Evening, thank you. Yeah, my question was, because it says here, in the first 24 to 48 hours, we put these reports together, and then it's going to take a few days or till whenever we get into the meetings for the appropriate committees. and we share this information with them and get a response back. So the reports we send back to the PKTF shouldn't come back to you guys till a week or so, till after we've been in the other meetings and shared the information throughout the assemblies, correct? I yield.
Correct. It's gonna take a minute. I mean, I just talked about 3 different committees. I don't know when your committees meet, but I'm sure it's not tomorrow.
Mhm.
Well, I'm assuming it's not tomorrow. At least not all 3 of them is not gonna meet tomorrow. So within the next couple of weeks, maybe 3 or even 4. I don't know. But your report should include these 3 things. Next question. I don't see any more hands. All right, well, I'm gonna be testing you at the next session. Bring your written reports to us. Now, what you give to them, I'm not sure if you have to have those written or not, but we want a written report. Thank you.
Thank you, Luis. And yes, folks, this is a kind of a rubber meets the road, and I don't want to patronize anybody or even insult anyone's intelligence. So just kind of meet us where we're at and, practice and exercise diligence, brevity, whatever the case may be. Of course, no one's under the gun here. We're all practicing, but this is a rubber meets the road kind of a moment, especially in light of the, force multiplied catastrophes that many evidence suggests is not natural. Okay, so at the end of the day, and from one minute meets the next, and we have issues where people need to be located and accounted for. This is where we're at. Okay. All right, enough of that. Let me
Well, Rich
go
got
ahead
a
and screen.
question. Rich got
Oh,
a
go
question.
ahead. Yep.
Go ahead, Rich.
So I just wanted to say, I agree. I think the written reports, at least for now, in the beginning, at least for me, I know, having them actually written out to email copies to like the state coordinator and the chairs for the different committees that we're going to be involved in. I think having the actual written report would be really handy, not only for references, that way they can share it out to the rest of the people on the committees easier. And it also gives you transparency. If it's well, you said this, no, if you read it verbiage, you have it written out for you like a script. I'm really nervous sometimes talking in front of the committees and stuff. And since all of this is new to everybody and me included, it's nice, I think, to have that written copy right in front of you to refer back to the links or what the radios were called or whatever, this meeting is supposed to be a meeting to meet, spread this information about. I think the written word is good, at least in the beginning, as we practice and learn how we're really supposed to do this better. I yield.
Thank you, Rich.
Hey, Luis, you want to go ahead and share if you can, and then hand it back over to me, the editorial section of the site so that people can see the email, or do you have it in the outline of where you would like people to send their reports and their supplementals?
Do you mean their report to the PKTF?
Right, yeah. I know it'll be a shared effort, but if you go to the editorial section, which we just
Oh, let me
updated
go.
that. Yeah.
You want me
so
to
that people
go there?
Yes.
Okay.
And again, folks, this is for others who have not yet stepped up to be liaisons, but they are gleaning and building their confidence to step up from these meetings that are recorded. You probably everybody already has the context, but go to the about and then go to our team.
Our team.
Just nope.
Nope.
Just straight.
Our team.
Yep.
Okay.
There we go. And then scroll down slowly. You'll see. So there's our editorial. And then we have a company side or national side, and then our international side, and then an administrative or management side. So when you scroll down,
Here. Okay.
no, that's the top. Yeah, that's the top. So if you go down, we have several positions in our newsroom to fill here. Then you move into regular contact, and then you have the international, as far as directors go, office and assistant. And then IONS Federation is generating and cataloging emails for assistant director. These are alternatives, as you see, assistant director at the very bottom of the screen. You see office director, which is mine right now. You'll see that. Then you have the national. You have alternates for affiliate director, which is Luis. Okay. And then we have an executive secretary position still to be filled. right? But the details on executive, this is a little bit out of the weeds here, but so everybody can see where these emails can be copied and right-clicked and pasted into your email client. So there's that.
All right. So this will be where you send this is where you want them to send the report to, any of these?
All right, yes.
Okay, all right. We have a question, Mark on Victoria.
Hi, Louise. How you doing?
Hi.
A quick question with regard to the town hall and its international relevance.
Okay.
So does the town hall become an international thing, or is it continental United States at this stage?
Oh, okay. So it's gonna start. We're gonna focus on the continental right now, so we can get the kinks out. But it is planned to expand to international, global. Yes.
Yeah, I know when you spoke about it, I think with Anna probably 6 weeks ago, I think you were talking about it being international. So I was just unclear at that stage.
Yep. It's
Thank
going
you.
to be. Mhm. All right.
I yield.
But
Thank you,
Mark, with that, we have 6 time zones and then 24 hours, and typically people are up for, usually 2/3 of those 24 hours. So there's a good chance that, depending on where you are, the 6 time zones that we have here, you can probably fit in your schedule somewhere, at least 1 or 2 hours, It's the
Joe, I
same
was
from
planning
East.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was planning on keeping an eye on it anyway.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. As long as they have space on the platform. Yeah. Okay,
Thank you.
Luis, I can take over a screen share if you want to take a break for a moment. Thank you
All
for
right.
sharing.
I'm gonna put these the outline in the chat so you all can download it. I'll stop screen share now.
Okay, thank you. Now I'm going to go back to the blanket presentation. See if I can see it here. All right, so we're going to move into the introduction. We're moving past. Everybody can see what we're talking about here. Okay. And now some of these things we've already touched on. Thank you, Luis, for your thorough portion of that, the build out. But high priorities, what we're talking about, we're going to have 9 points that we'll hope to cover tonight, and they'll lead into. Can anybody hear me? Am I rubber banding at all?
I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. So nationwide, thank you. Nationwide outreach is what we're about. Now we're moving into some of the intricacies and building on what we've discussed already. So this is a culminating opportunity. But live attendance is always the best of the outcome of these meetings. And of course, we would like full participation, 90 minutes. As long as we have meetings that are, pretty concise, we should be able to facilitate everything we hope to share. We build on the synergistic aspects, 100% of your effort and matching, joining another's 100% effort is more than 200%. We know the concept. And so that's as a result of these meetings. Also, your attendance and your foreknowledge allows your assembly to be bolstered in their knowledge of what the Peacekeeping Task Force is offering. And your participation also shows people who are interested, gleaning from the previous report, the meetings and replays, they can take the notes just like you take notes after reviewing previous meetings. And this is kind of the synergistic value of where we're at. Reporting to the assembly is what Luis expanded upon, which is great. So that's the aspect that we have there. And then of course I'm well satisfied of the availability that we've been able to provide to each meeting. Now, information dissemination, you're going to get a really great opportunity to hear and see what that's like from Boyd Adams from Louisiana. Kind of a spoiler alert, and as a middle portion caveat, special guest, we're really great, so I'm eager to hear what he has to share. But building on the role of PKTF liaisons, you here in attendance get a chance to ask Boyd questions on what he shared, and in the critical nature about emergencies, which is what brings us to where we are. So we kind of dive into the needs for emergency information share, information collection, and now we move into transitioning and interfacing with those currently responsible for information share, training, and all of those things. So this is what we'll be talking about in midway through tonight's discussion. So whatever Boyd would like to share, Chief Boyd. These are the talking points. Give everybody a moment to see this. And if you would like me to stop screen sharing and you would like to take over, just let me know. Give everybody a moment to take in what they see on the screen.
I'll let you keep, I'll let you screen share because I'm on my phone.
Okay, do you have the file?
Yes, I do. I printed it.
Oh, yes. Luis, do you have that also? Luis, not hearing.
Oh, sorry.
Everybody.
I was on mute.
Oh, no problem.
Let me take
Okay,
a
so
look
we
at
get,
my- oh,
yeah, if you want to pull that forward, if Boyd has, if you have what he has, or I'll stop screen sharing and I'll find what.
okay. Let me find it.
Boyd,
You want me
what's
to
the
use what I
name?
emailed you or go off of what you screen sharing?
Well, what we're screen sharing, we can, I don't know if this facilitates the screen sharing beyond this particular slide. Oops, which
Uh-huh.
is not this one. What we'll need to talk about are, you know what, why is my thing going here?
Oops.
Let me go ahead and look, I'm gonna go ahead and find what you need instead. So let's find that. Boy, go ahead and talk through what you have with the folks while I'll find it. I'll definitely find that file.
All right.
Where is it?
The
Oh,
well,
I got
anyways,
it.
my name is Boyd Adams. I am from South Louisiana. I have 27 years experience in de facto law enforcement, de facto. In my last 8 years, I was an elected police chief. In Louisiana, we have elected police chiefs instead of appointed. So the sheriff and the police chief both elected by the people. So, I have some. I made like a little an outline. I don't know if y'all have it or what.
I think I have it here. I can share. I can screen share.
Yeah.
Perfect.
The legal and jurisdictional jurisdiction information.
Can y'all see?
You're faster than I am. At least, thank you.
This little rundown gives a brief explanation on the process between the police chief, the sheriff, city limits, jurisdiction issues, which there's really never a problem. If there's a major emergency, something like what's going on in Tennessee and North Carolina, usually Homeland Security in the I'm going to say parish because I'm in parishes over here in the county. Homeland Security office in the county calls a public meeting and we all get together. All the head of each agency gets together and we all come up with a plan. And it flows pretty good. Everybody's when there's an emergency like that, there's no jurisdiction. Everybody's just do what you got to do. I don't know what happened in North Carolina and Tennessee, but man, they had some major issues. But that's beyond. That's just nothing we can do about that, I guess. The sheriff is in charge of the law enforcement for the parish, for the county, out of the city limits, but he also has jurisdiction in the city limits. Now, if he is a Admiralty Maritime sheriff, he has limited jurisdiction. He's a constitutional sheriff. He has full jurisdiction. The police chief is actually, I mean, it's police departments. I don't know what's going to happen, to be honest with you, with police departments. I do believe that they're like acting security guards, to be honest with you, that because there's no law making them authority, have the arrest powers and things like that, like the sheriff does. They would have to be employed by the sheriff. So I see that coming. I see all police departments going away, unless there's something done to change it. But as of now, I just don't see a police department being there anymore. It's going to be all through the sheriff's office because of the way the laws are written. It's just there's no room for them. I mean, it was just kind of a made up deal, but and it's always worked out, you know, because people don't know better. If they knew better, it would have never worked. Um, but anyways, the state police is used for investigations when an officer is involved in a shooting or is accused of a crime. That's what we use state police for. And just about every state does the same thing. And they work all fatalities, traffic accidents on state highways, so on and so forth. DWI, stuff like that. You know, and changing over into natural law, it's going to be totally different for these officers. I mean, they're going to need training for sure because there's no way they're going to be able to just switch over and understand, because it's a huge difference. I mean, huge difference. They in it to make money, and it's the truth. They in it to make money. And when I was chief, the judge would call me every once in a while. Chief, they're not writing no tickets, man. I'm not making no money. Well, you know, I don't want them writing tickets like that. You know, it was very. I mean, people struggling enough. They don't need tickets. They know they shouldn't be speeding. If they speed, they're not a child. You just tell them slow down. You know, it's whatever. They don't shouldn't have to pay $300 for going 10 miles over the speed limit. But that's the screwed up system we in. It's just unbelievable, the system we in. It still amazes me. When I retired in 2018, June 30th at midnight was the end of my second term. It's like I just got on this an awakening call and just got in it hook, line, and sinker, and totally awake, and just unbelieved. I just can't believe what we've went through and what we've done. That's just insane, you know, violating people's rights, and it's just, oh, it's sickening to know, you know, that I was part of that monster. And this is my way of fixing it and giving back. A lot of sheriffs and a lot of chiefs aren't too happy with me because of who I am now. But you know what? I don't care, because I'm right and they're wrong, and they're going to see that they're wrong in time. But it's really those guys. I want y'all to know this too. It's very important. Everybody know this. Those police officers have no clue at all what we know. No clue. They are trained to think that we're nuts. Being honest, that's at the police conventions and the chiefs conventions. You know, they have state police or FBI comes in and they give sovereign citizen classes. And I mean, they make us look like lunatics, like crazy, you know. And I sent out a mass email to all the Louisiana chiefs, and I said, you know, those sovereign citizen classes y'all take are full of crap. You know, I said, it's a joke. I said, y'all don't listen to none of that. I'm telling you, it's going to bite y'all in the rear end. And it
Boy.
will. It's going to, yeah.
May I ask, when you interject those and you reach out to your friends, what do they say in response? Do they say, "We know, Chief Boyd, we know, Chief Adams, we know that," or do they say, "No"?
Some of them don't reply to me, you know, but that's okay. Acadia Parish, which is right next door to Vermilion Parish, where I'm at. Me and the sheriff there have been good friends forever. He was a police chief forever. And we barely talk until I go to his office and I sit down in front of him and make him talk, you know, and tell him, look, because he's the chief, he's the president of the Sheriff's Association. So he's got a lot of say so for all the sheriffs. The Federal Sheriff's Association. So he's like the big dog for that. And I go into his office and we sit and we talk and we hash it out. And I feel like I win every time because, I mean, it's facts, and I show him, you know. I mean, admiralty, maritime law, and state statutes are not valid. They're unconstitutional, plain and simple, clear as day. You know, it is not for the living people. And when you tell them that, they're like, prove it. Okay, I'll prove it. Here, look, 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 look. And they say, oh man, that can't be right. Well, look it up yourself, you know, but they don't. It's they so brainwashed, it's unreal. I used to be that way. I really did. And it's sad. It's really sad.
Are
But
we
it's
taking
gonna
questions?
change, and sure.
Okay, well, we have a question, Kimberly.
Thank you. Thank you, Boyd. I appreciate it. I was just curious in your offering, what's your most powerful proof that seems to be the kind of screech on the pavement that gets them to turn their head first? Do you have a powerhouse fact that you give them that seems to be the key that's starting to open the door? And would you share that, please? Thank you. I yield.
Well, I just more or less sit down with him, you know, with the sheriffs and the chiefs, and I got arrested. I want you to know, I'm gonna tell y'all right now, I got arrested for sending out a travel packet for my sister. She's a little slow, so I do all her paperwork for her. Sent out a travel packet to the police department, and she got stopped for traveling without a license plate. And she had a Z tag. They towed her car, issued her 7 charges on a citation. So I called the chief, the same office that I was chief at, and he don't answer. He don't answer his emails. So they're really stubborn. And if they would have read the travel packet, they'd see that they are 100% in the wrong for what they've done. But they don't even read it. These bar attorneys tell him, oh, he's crazy. Don't believe he's a sovereign citizen. That's what they do. That's what happens. And it happens everywhere just like that.
Chief Boyd, may I
Yeah.
assume here, an
Uh-huh.
educated guess, I would say, it does
Mhm.
seem like that they may be gatekeeping or refusing to take any portion of ownership or investigation. I mean,
That's correct.
it's literally, it's staring us in the face when we see,
Mhm.
wait a minute,
Yep.
you as chiefs or as police, you have a department, a criminal investigation department, you send concerns over to those departments and they do the work for you.
That's
You know,
it.
if there's a concern, you know,
That's
I'm
it.
sure, and also Bobby's former law enforcement as well. So this is
Mhm.
great, and I don't want to
Yeah.
slow down the momentum here. I know you're going to talk a little bit about, I know Tim has a question, but you are talking about and enticing us here with what you have to offer
I
for
know we got
training,
hands going up.
for for training, exactly as you know and as we know that this quick fix as it should be, or some way
Uh-huh.
to expedite these shuttering and refusing to cooperate, training and certification. So that's what I know that's what you want to share too as well. So
Yeah.
I yield. Go ahead with the questions, Tim.
Tim?
Yeah, I was just wondering if we could get a copy of the travel packet and also how things are turning out after you were arrested. You know, how that worked out.
Sure.
Did you end up
Sure. That
finding
was all
them?
dismissed. The district attorney didn't accept the charges. He threw it all out
Excellent.
because I was right and they were wrong.
Right.
And Boyd and
So that,
everybody, again, I don't want you to take over here, but as you all know, we've heard these and have felt these stings all too often. But now we have a almost 3 decades chief battling or confronting as it should be, you know, and that is, and again, kudos to our efforts as well. But these are the kind of people who have particular skills and knowledge of inside the system to where we do our humble best with our skills. We have a retired chief of police, you know, so we're getting that raw on moments perspective and ideas, you know, coming from a police chief. So
Yeah, we need that.
thank you.
We
Yeah,
got
just
one more
think-
question. Rich?
Thank you. Yeah, I wanted to ask, because someone had said, what Kimberly had asked, what is the fact that you use that seems to turn their key and get their attention and make them start thinking things through more reasonably? And I wanted to say, I think an approach as if police officers are working outside of their oath of office, right, to uphold the Constitution, doesn't that place that removes their indemnified status, doesn't it? So that places them on, as it says, naked before the law. They're one man
Correct.
infringing upon another man.
Correct.
So you could hold a police officer personally liable financially, correct?
And I am.
And I think if we could approach educating our regular on the street police officers that fact, more of them would be more like, maybe they don't understand that. Maybe their boss probably never told them that. Hey, your butt's hanging in the wind if you're doing this because you're issuing faulty citations.
Yeah.
They're not going to tell them that. So
Right, they're not.
if we
And the bar
get
attorney
one or
won't
two,
either.
if we get one or two, I have a citation that was written on me for a couple of weeks ago for driving with no plates because the federal law says they're voluntary. The state law says that they have to be on display. The Constitution supremacy law says federal codes prevail. They issued me a citation anyway. So my question is I can press charges against him for infringing upon my rights, correct?
Correct.
So I need to find out how to do that because in a lot of cases, you can't educate a mass of people who are all, I hate to say brainwashed, but conditioned to think one way until you get one of them's attention in a very harsh manner. I hate to reference it, the movie Full Metal Jacket. The one guy always kept screwing up and everybody got punished for it. It wasn't until they got his attention and got him online with everything. You know what I mean? So if we take one officer and make an example out of him, I don't want to take his money. I don't want to take his car, house, buy me a soda and apologize and tell me you'll do some research. That's what I want.
Well,
But if
Rich,
we do
I think we're even better than this at this point with what Boyd has to offer. I'm really interested. I'm sure you will be too. What he has to share.
I'll yield.
Can y'all see? Can they see me or no?
Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
Because
This
I
right here.
have watched Boyd's video. I did watch all of his video and the whole reference list of
This right here is
cases.
the criminal
Incident
incident
report.
report.
mhm.
Yes. What I do is anytime I have a situation like false arrest, I filled out the whole thing, wrote my whole narrative, sent it to our state recording secretary. She stamped it, and it is in the system. When our courts are up and running, they're gonna go to court. That's what I'm doing. And I have a stack of them. So that's what I would advise anybody to do, just fill out your report, send it to your state secretary, have her sign it and file it, and it'll be there when your court's open.
Chief Boyd, you're being generous.
I
You're
know,
being
right?
generous with your approach. I know what's coming here, but
Okay, so we
tantalizing.
got,
Go ahead, Bobby.
let's see if Bobby can go and then we're gonna let Boyd move on. Go ahead, Bobby. Uh-oh, you're muted. I'll mute you. I don't know if I can unmute you.
I think Bobby may have some.
There we
screens in the
go.
way.
No,
No.
we're good. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Sorry to move on. Sorry about that. I just have one thing to say about that. These guys don't know what they're doing. So when you guys are doing your processes, you have to offer them remedy. Okay? You have to offer them remedy, a chance to make good before you just slam them. I think that's the difference, but I want to put a nail in this and let's move on from here. What do you say?
All right. All right, Boyd.
Let's see. Where are we at?
Training and certification.
Yes, required training and certifications. Every state has their post certification for their officers, standard and training for police officers. In Louisiana, it's kind of like a regular job. You just got to be 18 years old, GED, no felony convictions, U.S. citizen, psych eval, and you'd be surprised. Nobody passes the psych eval the first time. Got to send them back again and again every 6 months. Nobody passes it. So what's that take? But anyway, basic training, legal.
me?
Yes,
Why don't they pass it?
I don't know.
Could I
Oh.
step in on that? I would love to answer that question. I don't mean to barge in,
Yeah,
but here's exactly why. Because when people like yourself and I come out with the truth, they automatically go to the psyche valve because you haven't passed it and say you're crazy. So if they have to, they involuntarily commit you, and that's the deal.
yeah,
Done
you're
deal.
probably right. You're probably right. I passed mine though, so they can't say I'm crazy. And that's probably true. It probably has something to do with it. Would not surprise me at all.
Mm.
Legal training. Now it's going to be all about constitutional law, Bill of Rights, Declaration of Independence, use of force, firearms, just the normal. You can read through that. Community policing. Community policing is going to be a huge thing, I believe. PR, it's going to be very important because people are going to know there's a new law. They're not going to be too sure about it. They're going to love it once they know about it. So PR is going to be very important for all agencies to do. Investigations, physical fitness, field training. When we hire new officers, they usually ride along for about a year before they go to the police academy. That's because you'll know if they're going to stay or not. Because the police academy costs a lot, so that budgets are very tight. So that's yeah, I'm on the phone. So we budgets are tight, so we can't send them to the academy every 2 months, and I mean the turnover would be something. Half of them never make it the year, but anyways. Specialized in ongoing training. That's once promotions, so on and so forth. And police chiefs, and so do the sheriffs. They have the executive management board of directors. It's like it's I guess a government-owned college, you could say, and they are in charge of all training for police chiefs and sheriffs. I was the chairman of the board for the 8 years I was in office, appointed by the governor. And it's a really good program. In my last 3 years, we started approving all police officer training also. So the board approves all training for all law enforcement in Louisiana, approves or disapproves. You got to have so many hours continued education every year, or you lose your supplemental pay of $500 a month from the state. Organizational structure. Elected police chiefs, they are like the sheriff, more or less. They answer to the people, not to the mayor and council. Salaries is all up to the police chief, the elected. It's makes all decisions. Anything to do with staff or anything law enforcement or public safety is totally his decision. An appointed chief, it's all the mayor and council's decision, which I think is horrible. It gives them too much power, but it's like that in a lot of places. Sheriff is same thing. He has 100% decision making in everything he does, and held accountable by the people, elected chief and sheriff. Police department ranks vary between agencies. It just depends on the size of the agency. Where I was chief, I had an assistant chief, lieutenant, a sergeant detective. I had 3 detectives, 4 patrol sergeants, and 36 patrolmen, and 4 dispatchers and secretary and a clerk. So every agency is different. These huge agencies, I'm sure they have all kind of ranks. I wouldn't even know half of them what they are.
Boyd, Matt, may I ask a question here? I think I know the answer already,
Sure.
but what relationship do the police departments have? They're evolving from the Pinkerton group, of course, we know, and where they've come now, where they are considered paramilitary. And I mean, you'll check algorithms, check certain subject matter experts, and they'll say, no, paramilitary is somebody who works alongside the military, and that's not the police. That would be your militia. And I know I've heard it many times. I'm already convinced that police departments are paramilitary. Even their ranking structure illustrates that, and which is fine. But
Right.
it's that term or the augmented services being passed off to the militia, and that's not true.
Yeah. No. I don't know about it being the police too, though. I've never heard of that being police. it's ran like military. I mean, it's all law enforcement, pretty much the rank structure and discipline and all.
Okay, well, do have a follow-up. Now, when it comes to using, when you have military assets on the ground, I know the military or the National Guard, they fall in line when they have to operate. It's limited, of course. The worst end of that is martial law. You see a presence, if you see them on the streets, they're
Can you
going to
hear me?
be, yes, I can hear you.
All right. I
Now we
didn't hear
can.
you. Start again.
Were you hearing me? I was
No, I
sharing
didn't
what,
hear you. Now I can hear you now.
yeah, well, I mean, just we have a turning point where no, the paramilitary is not the militia, and there's a distraction taking place, um, whatever you want to call it. It's hyperbolic, whatever, and it's purposeful. But we need everybody is owed clarity on the role of the county guardian or the reeve, the county sheriff, their
Mhm.
city augmented police force or law enforcement, which is usually inside of a larger city on a county, which makes perfect sense, of course. And then their role as paramilitary. Okay, I've seen this many times. I'm already thoroughly convinced that that title is considered part of what the police, how they function when it
Mhm.
comes to an escalation that's needed, like martial law.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, it's
so
possible.
yeah, but I mean, maybe we're at a point where, as part of the training model, which is what you are wanting to share in the future,
Mhm.
moving ahead, with the liaisons here, you're at that opportunity when we learn
Right.
that this is what's taking place. This is not just our typical meeting or litigation at all. We, as perfecting our interface and perfecting that handshake, board is bringing something to the table that liaisons can share. Can you imagine what we're learning here? At some point, you'll have the opportunity, not
Yeah.
necessarily as a boots on the ground peacekeeper, but an administrative liaison for
Right.
peacekeeping, advocating peacekeeping. So you'll be able to, in a place, share with law enforcement like Boyd is sharing or attempting to share, offering. Because
Sure.
if training is what is missing, this is where we're at. We're getting the chance to
Yeah.
identify who is who, where, and when, and why. All of those
And I
things. And if it comes to training, this is where we're at. Go ahead.
and I believe the law enforcement training should come from us. And if it comes from us, we are the ones that have the knowledge, about natural law and the way things should be and how they're going to be. And I see the time coming where it's going to be a deadline. Everybody's got to be this by this date. That's what I see coming. That's what I'm manifesting and hoping for sure. And get rid of de facto completely, go away. And everybody's going to be under the natural law. And that's what needs to happen. And I think it's going to happen very soon. I think it's going to happen once it's announced the EBS goes off. And I think the 26th, that's happening for sure. It's the 26th, I heard today. They're going to do the EBS and all that and give disclosure on everything that's happening in the world and all that stuff.
Right. We can't help but to avoid what we see coming down the tracks towards us.
You're right. You're right.
As a time, I mean, nothing could happen, which would be a shock for everybody worldwide.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we shouldn't be naive to think that something pretty significant
Right.
is going to take place.
Right.
So, okay, Boyd, so thank you for this. And just so you know, as you can see to the far right, there's much more to share. So Boyd's put a lot
Yeah.
of things, a lot of thought into this. We are running out of time. We want to honor everybody's time. So we have about 20 minutes. Luis, if you want to go ahead and scroll down to the bottom while Boyd continues, and if it's just really slow, maybe you can push, I don't know how you do know how to
I just want to say real quick. I want to
Go
say
ahead.
real quick before the other slides that I sent you the other for the training for officers and deputies. My thing was that every liaisons from every assembly be trained to be an instructor to give the class to their agencies in their state.
Exactly.
That would be the perfect plan. I think then everybody would
Well,
be trained by the same ones and
well, I'm sorry, Boyd, did you say the liaisons, or did you say they're, I'm
whomever,
thinking,
whomever
yeah,
you'd want,
right. Well, I'm as a liaison and, as part of the liaison team, the company side, we're here to take an opportunity just like this.
Mhm.
Before we didn't have Boyd to share his perspective, his experience, and his confidence in what needs to be done. I mean, literally, this is what we needed. I don't mean to continue to use the word literally, but absolutely, quite literally, this is what we, as an assembly and as liaisons, this is what we needed, that extra push and confidence. I mean, how can you sneeze at 27 years of honorable service as a police chief, the highest ranking officer in that department? Anyway, so yes, I would like to have the opportunity, this right here, this material, and in the future, in the proper setting, all of you here, as well as myself, can, you know, reach out to other police chiefs, reach out to even the attorney or the attorney general of the state even, and offer them this at some point, which Boyd can probably help us navigate through that, where this can be added to their training curriculum. And what is it, every 2 years or when needed? I think there's also a position for subsequent mental training when needed at any time
Yeah.
throughout the year, correct?
Right.
See,
It's yearly. Yearly is, you know, should have so many hours a year on basics, just to
On basics.
refresh on basics.
Right. Yeah, and again, if this is what, could it very well be, is rhetorical here, but could it very
Mhm.
well be that whoever needs to sign off on having training, according to what we know should happen, and you know, there's no eyebrows or finger pointing at this point. It's just a
Mhm.
simple adjustment. It may be shocking for some, but it shouldn't be to us. It's just
Right.
another day's work for us as any envoy to, you know, a training model. So this is where the liaisons come in, because we're not sheriffs, we're not coordinators, we're not working within our assemblies, we're working across our assemblies. We're building that interface. So we're there, kind of the perfect position, if you ask me.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
okay, so what I'll do, since we are running time, due time would slip right by. We can go over 5 or 10 minutes if everyone would like, past 9, for those who would like to stay. But let me just go ahead and take the screen off. Thank you, Boyd.
Mhm. No
Definitely
problem.
look forward to seeing more. And
Mhm.
from what you have, go back to the slides here. If I can find it. Point. And I'll just kind of generalize where we're at, so as to not to take over anybody else's time. As a matter of fact, I'll do what Luis was doing and kind of sliding through. So let's go ahead and just talk through. Let's spend the last 20 minutes. I'll share these. These slides are raw and self-explanatory. So as we talk and anybody ask any questions, I'll just go ahead and let the slides play through for the recording and for your peripheral side. And go ahead and let's talk. What do you guys think of all what we talked about tonight?
I think it was absolutely great. Needed to be done. Needs to be done again.
I got a question.
Awesome.
What position or role will Boyd be assisting us with? Because I've got some ideas for him.
Boyd, yeah, let's ask Boyd. Where do you think you would like to? Don't even
Let's
ask.
go,
If you ask me, I'm going to tell you. Boyd, will you please join the Federation?
And I will. That's my intent. What's your places for me? The idea.
We have executive secretary left.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw that. Executive secretary. So the job description for exec, I don't want to transition off the screen here. You can go to our blog section in the near right margin. Everyone can see not only the role of liaison, because we still need the remainder of the assemblies, like for those of you here now, are other assemblies and states. We haven't yet heard from them. Most of them we have. I think we're up to 43 or 45 out of 50 states with an enrollment form. But you also see the role of executive secretary in extreme detail. So just see that, or anybody else, you know, that's interesting for you. But yes,
Right.
executive secretary is a administrative role, and just kind of look through the detail and let us know what you think.
All right, I will. Sure will.
Now we have also, I'm putting together a strategy task force to assess how our American Government Researchers Project, the outreach, of the 6-phase project, how we are going to be presenting it and delivering it to the public, how we're
Mhm.
going to, what strategies we're going to use.
Right.
I could use some assistance with that. I'm calling the
Okay.
next meeting
Sure.
here by November 1st. I think that seemed like that's going to be the date, where we will get together and go over and assess how we are going to strategize and reach out to the public. I particularly want to sit down with the governor and particularly want to sit down with the state secretary of state.
Mhm.
We have a problem with getting people to communicate, as you well know.
Right.
But that's my objective, starting at the top there, and whoever else we need to talk to. I don't know whoever else needs to be on that list. But if you would be open to assisting us on the strategy task force, that's another area.
Sure. Sure. Definitely. Definitely. Just let me know whenever y'all ready to have meetings or whatever. Send me an invite and I'll be there.
All right,
Can I propose something real quick? I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut
Bobby?
you off. Yeah, could I propose something real quick? I'd like to offer Sheriff a service. You know, I coming from the same background, my experiences over the last 10 years like or so being forced out, and his recent experiences of leaving this department could help your you know, could help your system that you're developing in the processes and the stuff that we had to go through while being separated from that group of people. Does that make sense? So I think that
Mhm.
communication between the sheriff and I would be beneficial to have everybody on the call listening to those experiences and how they've changed from, you know, a decade ago, till recently. What do you guys think about that? I yield.
So
Absolutely.
Bobby,
You know,
oh,
go ahead.
go ahead, Joe.
No, just what I'm most optimistic about at this very moment, which we're behind the 8 ball, we're just getting ready to pull back and, you know, and aim for that hole, you know, and set up for the next shot, is the training. The training brought to whichever labor organization, Bobby and you and I have talked about this before and tried to identify where do these training models come from? Who signs off on them? Never mind who's delivering the training material to these officers who, you know, we appreciate for what they're offering, but clearly they need to be trained. And if that's all that's needed, that's all I've ever been used to. I'm
Yeah.
always in the military. I've always fully expected training adjustments, you know,
Mhm.
supplemental training. Went with the territory. So, you know, if we're working with officers who, you know, they run trim, they run to policy, they want to be safe, they want to
Mhm.
keep people safe, they have families they need to return to, and we should be able to know that that's ultimately what we're dealing with. And if they're not
So,
paid to you know, go against what they've been trained to do, all the while they're ratcheted up when they're dealing with true criminal and behavior and intent, you know,
Yeah.
they just will not slow down until
I'll
they
be right
receive
back.
the proper training. That's it.
Mm.
That's what I'm fully anticipating myself. And with this efforts now, it's much more clearly visible as a viable opportunity. Now we have, you know, somebody just like Boyd and others will come forward too with the same precise training, experience, opportunity, reputation, you know, in other venues. But right now, it's much more doable, you know, not having assembly members languishing in the fact that they're being railroaded into the compelled to the courts and not listening to the courts, and now they have to be confronted with being jailed, which their job is now being called into, you know, because of being apprehended and tied up and all of that. Never mind. Now we have the opportunity to, at some point, and us as our liaisons will have an opportunity to schedule a meeting to sit down with those who now being trained. So
Bobby?
yeah, no, I'll yield. It's
Oh, okay.
yeah, no, I'll yield. I just wanted to add, like, specifically when I was down in Katrina, because we were part of Maryland Task Force 2 during Katrina, and this is where I learned all this stuff from. You know, we were stationed in Gretna, Louisiana, but we operated in the Ninth Ward, St. Bernard Parish during the
That's
day.
where I was too. I was in
Yeah,
Gretna.
I know, I definitely know you. We were Maryland Task Force 2. So Gretna,
Mhm.
we operated in St. Bernard Parish, in the 9th Ward, and then we stayed at Gretna and did tactical support for Gretna Police Department at night. So yeah, we were with Baltimore City in
I worked for
in New York.
JPS Otis at that time, Jefferson Parish Sheriff's
100%.
Office.
I knew you were familiar. I definitely met you down there. 100%, brother. Good to see you
Probably
again,
so.
Sheriff. Ain't that some shit, man?
That's
All right, guys, we still have a little bit more time. Let me go, okay, let's continue on, please. If everybody's enjoying the extra time that we have afforded, I'll go ahead and screen share where the
I got a
where the
question.
executive secretary role is. Go ahead. Yes.
So, Bobby and Boyd,
yes.
are you all thinking that we can get access some type of way to retrain police officers?
Yes.
100%. That's what I did. You know, as a SWAT member, you're trained as a police instructor. You're trained to train the trainer. You're trained in everything. You got a firearms instructor, driving instructor, you know, Secret Service convoy, everything. You name it. Yes,
The-
you're
if-
capable.
It just depends on how this all rolls out. I think if it just rolls out as, okay, the government is now by the people and it's through your assemblies, and the assemblies are offering this service to train the officers in the new way of doing law enforcement. And if we offering it for free, they're going to take it. For free, especially because it's all about money and budget with police departments and sheriff's office.
And that's why
So-
they don't say nothing. That's exactly why they don't say nothing. Every single one of them know there's something wrong, but when they ask questions, they end up like me, right? That's exactly what happens. They play their pensions in the balance, but what happens when they realize their pensions don't even exist? These guys are just waiting for a reason to turn on these MFers. And it's not the regular people, it's the command staff and their principals. And that's the problem. It all happened when I got hired right after 9/11, when the Clinton administration, who was based out of the Roman Catholic Church O'Malley administration, the same time Baltimore was going through those changes. I was hired under grants, which incorporated all the departments by accepting the Clinton administration grants. So that's how it all started, and that's where it came from. I got hired with, I want to say, 50 NYPD people, I'm talking command staff down to the foot officers, and then probably over 150 people directly transported from Puerto Rico. 150 Puerto Rican officers just automatically were embedded into the Baltimore Police Department at that time. Go figure. Law of the Inquisition is real.
Wow.
Mhm.
Jeez. Well, those days are going to be over with, I believe. We're on to greatness now.
Okay, Joe, you want to show this? Go ahead.
No, I was just scrolling through. Everybody can see here. This is what I'm, for everybody here. Boyd, I mean, this is really fitting for someone in your position. I'm not going to suggest that you have all the time in the world. You know, we're just ecstatic when we have people say, you know what, I have 8 to 10 hours extra a week that I can share. 5 to 8 hours is even great.
I probably have
we
more
do-
than that.
Well, and we do have a legacy fund. This is another part you've probably seen or you will hear more about, where we want to be able to assist with not only memorializing people's service as a liaison and allowing them to, you know, hey, if you can dedicate 4 seasons, 12 months, and you want to walk away, just, you know, give it your best, even including your mistakes as liaisons. Just be there, you know, put in that time, and we'll carry your name into, you know, beyond, so that people can see, hey, you know, my granddad did something after all. You know, he may not speak
Right.
about it much, but look here, here's his name. You know, and then his contributions, and when funds, when they do become available, there's no overarching expectation at the moment, but we do anticipate that. So, you know, for people who have served and it's been a year and a half or so, we can say, you know what, funds are available. Would you like what you put in for a year and a half ago? No, send it to my worst enemy, or send it to my estranged spouse who, you know, took, you know, just, you know, did their part to separate, you know, anything. Send it to this charity. Send it to me. You know, send it to whoever. You know, do the work for me, but send it somewhere that gets some attention. Send it to that judge who ran me through the ringer and caused me to lose my job, you know? I mean, can you imagine? Because, you know, funds are
Yeah.
no longer an issue at that point. But we
Right.
still want to get ahead of, you know, we want super objective without people to serve and not overburden people and not let their volunteer work just fall into a void or a vacuum, which is usually
Mhm.
what taxes and worries or bewilders assembly members because they don't have anything tangible to aim towards except just hope and expectation and optimism,
Right.
but nothing more solid. So yeah, that's where we're at with that. Now, this role, as you see, executive secretary, go ahead and check it out. If you see, if it's something that you like, let us know. But this is something that we're
What's the website address? Let's see. I'm looking for them. Get
put
on
it
the
in
website.
I'll put it in the chat for you and for everybody else. And of course, if Boyd decides he would like to take his work somewhere else, believe me, we're not counting anyone out, and we don't want anyone to think that um, Boyd's vital service and experience at the moment is any better than anyone else's. It's really down to availability. And if you see that you can fit in these parameters, which is, I don't know what to tell you, but the executive secretary is, I don't know how we're functioning without one right now, to be honest with you. And there's not a typical, you know,
Right.
personal secretary, which is also vital, but we can't afford an secretary to that degree. An executive is quite different and quite interesting. So let's go ahead and see that, or anybody else have a look at it. Here we go. All right. Kimberly?
Thank you. I appreciate it. Joe, I went ahead and put a couple of things into the chat there. They were the notices that Anna had published in this past week with regard to noticing the sheriffs. And so I just wanted to put that more current on the desks that this is going to be something that these are going to be moving to sheriffs. And I know that the intent is to have all sheriffs on across the country having these on their desks. That being said, I think that the experience of interchange is going to actually happen or be ripe for happening far more quickly. So in the event that there's any sort of council that can start to come with regard to how to actually handle these liaison meetings and the possibility of having these coming to us a bit more quickly. I know I'm in situations where I'm probably going to have interfaces sooner than later. So any counsel that could come from this would really be very helpful for me, and I'm sure for many of us. So I do know, Kevin, that you and your Marshal at Arms had actually had some interface. I would love to try to set a meeting with you guys if it would be possible to hear your experience and see how that went for you, if that would be at all okay. But I did just want to bring that forward that Anna did bring this out this week. So it is a very, it's a movement that's in motion. And so we may want to go ahead and actually ride that wave. So just wanted to bring that forward that this is current. So thank you so much. I yield.
I
I
just
want to
add
say
to that
something to
really
that if I
quick. Oh,
could.
go ahead, Sheriff. Go ahead, I yield.
I've talked with Anna about the sheriff's letters or notifications, and I'm in touch with NCIC, which is the National Crime Information Center, and they send teletypes out to all agencies all over the world in one click of a button. So they can send out to all sheriffs in one click of the button in the entire country, and they'll all get it at the same time. So I'm working on that with them, with NCIC right now, to get Anna a number as the civilian government. And once she has her number, she'll be certified and she'll be able to send a teletype from her office to all sheriffs.
Fantastic.
Excellent. Thank you so much. When it
Mhm.
comes down to us as liaisons and our interfacing, I'll be definitely delighted to talk with you. And I did actually send you a direct message in the chat. So if that would be something that you could pick up before the call ended, that would be lovely.
Okay.
Thank you. I yield.
All right. Mhm.
And folks, again, this is, again, it bears repeating. The liaisons are in that middle area where you're not languishing again with your assembly, trying to struggle how to set up your pillar. You're actually there beyond the threshold. You know the environment inside your assembly, but you're venturing out with a warm handshake, eager to help the assembly build that interaction where you're not this is why we don't encourage American state citizens, although they may be compelled to join and have questions. But if you have somebody who, let's say, a marshal at arms, they are absolutely not fitted for this position as a liaison because that's an elected office. Never mind the overwhelming, need to have to try to jumble, multitask, all of those things. But the liaison is, again, is a representative, a keen, perfect example of a representative of the assembly, and they are your, the people you see in suits, power suits, if you will. Just envision it. You're there, you have your attaché case, you have information, you're an information, you're a well of information. And you have the opportunity and you have the confidence to share what you see on the screen with those who needs to know, honestly. No confrontation, zero confrontation. So let me just say, really quick, for those, what we're at right now, where I'm at directly, I have the pleasure of meeting with the assembly liaisons. We touched on this just before we started the recording. And again, if you want to see what we're at least with the Ohio Assembly, this is the culmination of everybody's effort here on the call and every other liaison that comes from the other states. The result of your work brings the assemblies to seat. Of course, it's the assemblies doing the heavy lifting as well. But I get the pleasure of meeting in an interview setting and get the chance to share the findings and the challenges and the moments where these assembly militia command, the field commands and their provisions committee and all the things that they're doing for their state. I get to interview them. And through those interviews, everyone else gets to see, and through the efforts with the Peacekeeping Task Force and the Federation combined, we then validate the assembly to then move forward beyond, above and beyond where other assemblies are at the moment, and it may be yours as well. But soon we hope to see your assembly logo here for your assembly militia pillar, and soon to have meetings, across the board. It's their work within your assembly, elected officers, committee workers, and then yourself as a liaison, helping to, encourage them, motivate them, provide them the information that they need to get them to the point where the Ohio Assembly is. And if you would like questions that you would like for us to ask, if you're not able to attend these meetings, which they are closed one-on-ones, you can ask them in the section. Just choose. These are held every other week for an hour. Just go ahead and enter in the comment section. Help get the information out there, the comments and the queries and interests and all that good stuff. But yeah, I look forward to more of these, and then what Boyd just mentioned about efforts with the Federation and everybody else. All of your work together is just immense, and we greatly appreciate that. So I'll go ahead and stop screen share. 1 minute past. Go ahead, Bobby. No.
I'll yield, Joe. You're good. You guys covered it all. Thank you very much.
Right. Who else do we have?
That's it.
Anybody else? That's it?
I don't see any
Okay.
other hands. Mhm.
Okay, so I hope everybody can sense that this is a different environment. The frustrations that you have, I share. My assembly in Kentucky has the same challenges and the same bewilderments, or it seems, kind of mulling over, getting stuck in a rut. Well, the liaisons helps every effort turn that curve. Make that turn is what the liaisons do. If you haven't seen it yet, you will soon experience it yourself. And so we're giving it our level best. We have Boyd also joining. Expect other folks with anticipation that with their skill set, they'll join other areas within their own assembly. I mean, retired judges. I don't have to sell you guys on the idea to have a judge who has seen the light and have served honorably to the point where they can, right? Like Boyd. And
Hey, there's some judges that know. There's some judges
Yep,
that know. I can
right.
guarantee you that.
Right.
They all know.
The dynamics go when we have people who are in it, not just regular worker like myself or yourself, perhaps, or a homemaker who really had no skin in the game. We're the one that sets the tables and sets the quorum, the base decorum of our assembly pillars, and then the expectation to have, more seasoned, more precise help coming. And I'm sure none of us likes, if you've experienced any controversy or, these juvenile things in our assemblies, just imagine what it's like, folks peering in and seeing your minutes and say, well, this assembly's not ready yet. They're not disappointed that you're there. but they don't want to
Right.
bring what they have of value to you, an assembly who's in disarray. And again, the liaisons can help brush those things off and help to prepare, shake hands, kiss babies, bring the people to that you know, and you have no compunction, you have no ownership, no controversy. You're a bridge builder. And it's a
That's
very,
right.
very unique position to be in at the moment. So thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Boyd, for
Absolutely. My pleasure.
meeting with us. First time. Yeah.
My pleasure. And I'll be here every time. If good Lord's willing.
All right. Well, so with that, and then again, I don't want to conclude that Boyd has taken on the role of executive secretary, but Boyd, if you just, complete the enrollment form that if you haven't already, if you have, let us know. And then Luis and Kathy and I will get on that and schedule an interview with you. I think you may be
All right.
next in the queue for that role. If not,
All right.
I think that is.
Check it out.
All right. All right. Thanks, everyone. We're a few minutes over.
Thank you.
So we
Thank
maximize
you
their
so
time.
much.
Thanks.
Thanks, everybody. Do your
We'll see you
homework.
all yep, do the homework. Absolutely. Thanks, Luis.
All right.
You're
Good
great.
night.
You're a great
Good
motivator. All right.
Thanks,
me-
everything. Have a good night.
night.
Thanks.
Good
Luis,
night.
send me over the recording after it renders, okay?
All
So
right.
that everybody can get the points that you brought forward.
Okay.
And I'll publish
Have a
it.
good night, everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Good night.
Night, Mark.